Hello everyone, today I am here to do another recent reads. This is my second one this month, so I'm feeling pretty good. I've read a good amount of books, so yay. So my last recent reads was a lot of YA books. We're taking a different turn. Today we're doing a lot of adult romance books because that's my jam. So today I'm talking about 3 books. One of them is not quite out yet. I'm sorry, but 2 of them are, so there's that. So in case you like what I say about them, you can go buy them or get them from the library, do whatever you want to do. So the books I'm talking about today are The Road Trip by Beth O'Leary. This one releases on June 1st, so this is the one that's not quite out yet. Then we have Anchored Hearts by Priscilla Olivieri. This one released on April 27th, so it should be out. And lastly, we have Life's Too Short by Abby Hamezen, which releases on April 6th, so it's been out for quite some time. So the timestamps will be down below in case you want to hear about one particular book, but let's get into it. So the first book, like I said, is The Road Trip by Beth O'Leary. This is her 3rd book, and I read all 3 of her books now. Her first one, The Flat Share, is still my favorite. It was her first book. It took BookTube by storm a couple years ago, and it was just really good, honestly. And then her second book, The Switch, was okay. I think it was honestly a case of mismarketing, or maybe, I don't know, maybe it could have been just my own fault. I thought it was going to be much more romantic than it was. The Flat Share was definitely a romance book, and The Switch was much more kind of a family woman's fiction book, I'll say. So I was very skeptical going into The Road Trip because I was like, is this one going to be romantic or is it not? But 100% totally romance. It's really about the dichotomy of a relationship fully. So this one we follow Addie and Dylan. And Addie and Dylan, at the beginning of this book, are broken up, and you don't know why, for what reasons, you know, all that kind of stuff. And basically they're both heading to their mutual friend's wedding. Addie is with her sister and Dylan is with his best friend Marcus. And somehow through a turn of events, like, they get into a car wreck with like each other on the way to the wedding. It's very random. And so somehow they all end up riding together to the wedding. It's like the world's most awkward road trip, like with your ex, with, you know, your ex's sister, your ex's best friend, and you have to drive like cross country to like go to a friend's wedding, and you just really figure out more about them. So this whole book is, time-wise, you have the now where you both have Addie and Dylan's perspective, but you also go back in time to when they first met, the relationship and the falling apart, and then, you know, years later when they meet up again and if they have feelings for each other. So like I said, this book is really, if you love books that really kind of dissect a relationship of how a couple's gotten together and, you know, what may have happened that caused turbulence in the relationship and if they've broken up and things like that. And that's what the whole book is about. It's really about a relationship. It does have a lot of great side characters. We get a lot with Addie's sister, a lot with Dylan's best friend, who caused a lot of tumultuous things in Addie's and Dylan's relationship. And overall, I gave it a 3.5. I didn't love it nearly as much as The Flat Share. The Flat Share is still my favorite book by the author, but I am a fan of really going deep dive into relationships and figuring out like what happened, should they be together, should they not, kind of things like that, should they be friends and things, you know. I can't explain it much further because that's kind of all there is to it. It's just, there's not much more to it. It's just, if you want a book that has a road trip, the road trip element's great because I love a book that has a great road. I love any books that have road trips in them. It's one of my favorite tropes. You know, it's kind of like a really sub trope. I don't know. And I also really love books that kind of talk about a full-length relationship of discovering it, you know, figuring out all those kind of different things. So yeah, there's not much more to say. It was good. I'd say if you like The Flat Share, I think you will like The Road Trip. But if you maybe like The Switch more because it was more like kind of women's fiction and more family-based, maybe you wouldn't like this one. It's so hard to say. It's kind of a mixture of both because you really get to see the relationship, but you also get a lot of each other's families and the dynamics between them as well. So it's kind of a melding between those two. So yeah, 3.5. I still will read Beth O'Leary's future books. I just haven't found anything that has come close to The Flat Share, which happens with authors when you read a book. You know, you have a favorite book by them and you can't find one that's similar to that because all books of theirs are going to be different. But at the end of the day, I still really enjoy her writing. I still enjoy her characters and all of that. And this was a really interesting book. I didn't love the relationship that much. Like, I don't know. I kind of wanted more from it. I didn't really feel like there was a good like baseline for it. It could have been just me, but 3.5, take with it what you will. Then we have Anchored Hearts by Priscilla Olivieri. This is the second book in the Keys to Love series. So this one is the sequel to Island Affair, which I read last year on a whim and I actually really enjoyed. So this all takes place like in the Florida Keys. Is that right? The Florida Keys? Or Key West, maybe? I think I might be right. Sorry. Just kind of in Florida. You know, they have the Keys of Florida. And this series is not pertinent that you read the first book or, you know, things like that. They're kind of companion series. So I will say, if you don't really care, if you read the plot, if you read the synopsis of Island Affair and it doesn't really quite intrigue you, you don't need to read it. They do have adjoining characters that were in the first book into this one, especially because they're part of the same family, but it's not like pertinent, like there's no rules to go by. So in case you want to read just this one, you really can, honestly. So this book, we follow two characters again. We follow Alejandro and Anna Maria. And Alejandro is a photographer and he's always dreamed about getting out of Florida. He's never really wanted to stay there. He's always wanted to kind of just leave. And he fell in love with Anna Maria when they were in high school and they had a really great relationship. And then, you know, at the end of the high school, he's like, you know, like, I'm gonna leave Florida. And she wasn't quite ready because she had some family situations that she really just felt like she couldn't leave. And so he just truly left her, like left her up out of the dust and traveled all across the world, you know, photographing different things and things like that, just never really returning home until he gets into this like accident where it kind of messes up his leg. So he has to return home, much to his dismay. And Anna Maria is a like paramedic firefighter, and so she gets asked to go check on him, and so they're brought back into each other's lives. There's obviously a second chance romance, and so this whole book is again about a relationship, discovering it and like why it fell apart, and really just rediscovering love, if you will, because it truly is a second chance romance. I guess you could say that too about the road trip. I'm not quite sure, but this one I would totally classify as second chance romance, and it was okay. I give it a 3 out of 5. I definitely preferred Island Affair much, much more. I thought the chemistry between the characters in that book was much more realistic, and I liked it more. This one was, I didn't really feel the chemistry with the characters that much, even though they had such a deep history, which was kind of odd. But the whole book, you're like learning about why Alejandro wanted to leave Florida, why he's got this tumultuous family situation, and Anna Maria really is loyal to her family. Her dad got kind of sick a long time ago, which is why she hasn't left, and she's also trying to build like this fitness brand, and she has like classes she teaches and like a blog and recipes, and she's really exploding, and she wants to, you know, maybe not leave Florida, but kind of break out of her comfort zone. And so these two meet up again and again. Their parents want them to get back together, obviously, but they're just really unsure about it because Anna Maria is still very, very hurt when Alejandro left her, with good reason, because he like literally left her. And it was okay. It's a good summer read, I'll tell you that. Like, this whole series is great to read like on the beach, like outside, just in warmer weather, because it takes place in Florida and they go to the beach a lot, and you learn a lot about the culture there and about the food and all that stuff. So it's a great summer read, but I just didn't jive well with the characters as much as I did in the first book. But I know there will probably be another book in this series, and I will continue to read it because I enjoy them. And the covers, goodness, I am a sucker for a beachy cover any day of the week, and these covers are just so beachy. So I did like it. If you just want a quick, I would say, if you just want like a quick, cute, romantic, second chance summer read that I don't think you'll love, but it's, you know, it's cute, I would recommend this one. So there's that. And the last book I want to talk about is Life's Too Short by Abby Jimenez. And this one, like I said, has already been out. And this is the third book in the Friend Zone. So I have read all 3 of these. Again, like the Keys to Love series, it's not pertinent that you read them all in order or things like that, but I would suggest it because, like I said, other characters pop up. So I read the Friend Zone. Is that the first book? I think. A while ago, and I did not enjoy it really at all, and I wasn't going to read the sequel to it, Happy Ever After, the Happy Ever After playlist. I think that's what it's called. I'm horrible. Through some, I don't know, I think the synopsis really appealed to me, so I read it, and I loved it. It was one of my favorite romances of last year. I ate it up. So I was very, very excited for Life's Too Short because I loved her second book so much, and it did not disappoint. I really have come to love Abby Hamezins. I know I'm pronouncing that wrong, and I know a lot of you guys always I know a lot of you guys correct me. Please continue to do so. I try. I need to be better, but I just love her writing, and her characters, especially in these last two books, are just there for me. So in this book, we follow a character named Vanessa, and she's like a travel YouTuber. She travels all across the world. She has her YouTube channel, and she's pretty popular. Like, she's legit a celebrity. She's, you know, one of those famous YouTubers. And somehow she gets roped into taking care of her sister's newborn daughter. And so she has to travel back home and, you know, take care of her daughter. And through that, like one night when the girl is up, when the baby's up screaming at 2 a.m., can't wait to have that again in my life real soon. It's gonna be hard. But the neighbor comes knocking on the door, and he's like, you know, can I help you? Like, I'm trying to get some sleep, and I can't sleep because I can hear the baby because it's like paper thin walls. And her neighbor is Adrian, and he's this hotshot lawyer who actually owns the entire building. So he's also got money, and she's like, you know, yeah, sure, I will let you help me because I'm at my wit's end. And so through that, they become friends, and they really start their friendship on the basis of, I don't want to date you, you don't want to date me, I'm not looking for anything exclusive, I'm just looking for like a friendship. Because Vanessa has a lot of qualms about life. Particularly, she thinks she won't be around much longer. And I don't want to spoil it. I don't think it is a spoiler, but I do think it's important to know before going into it that a lot of Vanessa's family suffers from ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, and it's a disease that has taken a lot of her family members away from her at a young age, so it's very hereditary in her family. So Vanessa's always kind of had this ticking clock of when her life is going to end. So she doesn't have any time for relationships, especially with Adrian, who she really finds herself being attracted to and being like, I could be with this guy forever probably, but she's like, I'm not going to be around for much longer, so there's no point in like starting something when, you know, I won't be here. So it does have a very sad element, which is a tone of Abby Hamezin's books. Like there's a lot of great romance, but there's always a big sad undertone to it, which is just, it's really good, but it's sad to read, I'm not gonna lie. So the whole book is basically Adrian and Vanessa dancing around their feelings. Like, so clearly obvious that they should be together and that are meant to be together, but Vanessa obviously has a lot of problems with that, understandably so, because of her family situation, not only with the ALS, but her family is just a mess, and she has to clean up that mess a lot. She doesn't want to bring somebody else into it. And their friendship was really beautiful, how he was always there for her, how he always watched the baby. Let me tell you right now, and when you get older, and if you want to be a parent, totally okay if you don't want to be, that's your decision. But if you do, there's nothing more attractive than a guy that's a good dad. Let me tell you that right now. Like, I'm not talking about like other dads. I'm talking about my own husband. Like, he's a good dad. It's very attractive to me. But Adrian was such like a good father figure, and Grace, I think that's the baby's name, I'm horrible, Life, and he was just so caring and so compassionate, and he was just a really great friend that obviously turned into something more, and I really enjoyed this book. I gave it a 4 out of 5. I did not like it as much as the Happy Ever playlist. I don't know what it was about the Happy Ever playlist. I think I just really loved those characters so much and was so invested in their storyline that I just was obsessed with it, if you will. But this one I did really enjoy. So I would say, as I don't know if this is the last book in this series, but my favorite would definitely go book number 2, Happy Ever Playlist, then this one, Life's Too Short, and then the first one, The Friend Zone. That's kind of my least favorite. I did not really enjoy the characters in that at all. But gosh, if you want like a great romance book that has some sad undertones in it, I would highly recommend any of her books. They're all great. I just really enjoy them. That's all I can say. I will read anything she writes, but I have to emotionally prepare myself every time I read one of her books because I know it's going to be just a little bit sad. So there you have it. Those are my thoughts and feelings on 3 recent romance reads that I have read recently. Reads and romance. I said a lot of R's for some reason, but either way, I would love to know if you've read any of these. Did I convince you to read any of them? Did I not? I would love to hear your feedback. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.